No. God, no. That can't be right. I just checked it. It's 10 minutes ago. The back door, the heavy steel one, I bolted it shut myself. Heard the click, felt the weight. It was locked. I know it was locked, but that sound, that metallic clang, that was the latch. Being forced or opened? No. It's impossible. It can't be. But the light just blinked in the back room. I swear, I can hear a faint whisper, just beyond that door. Oh God, someone is in here. My name's Mark. Just Mark in this. This is my life now. 63 and divorced. And yes, absolutely broke. I'm telling you this because, well, you need to understand. You need to understand how I ended up here. How anyone ends up in a place like this. This gas station. Benny's Bargain Fuel. Even the name sounds like a joke. A lonely, crumbling monument to despair off a forgotten stretch of Highway 7. It's usually dead out here after midnight. Utterly, suffocatingly dead. Just me, the dusty, half-empty candy racks, and the stale, cloying smell of old coffee and cheap cleaning products, and the silence. God, the silence. It's not a peaceful silence, it's a waiting silence. A silence that hums with unspoken things. Most nights, it's just the occasional phantom rattle of the old ice machine, or the sigh of the wind as it whistles through the cracks in the walls. Maybe a lonely trucker pulls in, eyes bloodshot, needing a gallon of lukewarm coffee and a pack of cigarettes. Or a carload of teenagers, giggling, oblivious, their lives still ahead of them, stopping for energy drinks on their way to nowhere. They never see the silence. They never feel the weight of this place. They never feel the cold that seeps into your bones, even in summer. This was my first solo night, Benny, the owner. A man who always smelled faintly of motor oil and desperation, just handed me the keys. His eyes, though, they held something. A flicker of something. Resignation? Pity? Fear? He showed me the alarm system, pointed out the ancient security monitors, which mostly just displayed static and ghostly blurs. "Don't worry if you hear the building settling, Mark," he'd grunted, his voice raspy. "It's old, real old. Got a lot of history in these walls." He never elaborated on that history. I never asked. What was there to ask? So Benny left, in his old rusty pickup truck. It was just another Thursday night, another endless stretch of highway, another endless stretch of silence. Or so I thought. That's when it started. The changes. The things that were just off. Not big things. Not at first. Just whispers of doubt in my mind, quickly dismissed. I remember wiping down the counter, meticulous, wiping away the dust that seemed to materialize out of thin air. I'd gone into the back room to check the inventory, made sure the heavy steel door to the storage room was latched and bolted. I even gave it a good tug, locked tight, and came back out. 10 minutes later, a flicker of movement on the security monitor. My head snapped up. Nothing, just the empty fluorescent lit aisle. But when I went back to the storage room to grab some paper towels, the handle was slightly ajar, just a hair. Almost imperceptible, but it was there. I blamed myself. Exhaustion, my mind playing tricks. This place was old, settling. Yeah, settling. Then the sounds began. Not the usual creaks of an old building. These were different, deliberate. A faint rhythmic scraping, like something heavy, but not quite solid, being dragged across concrete. It came from the back, somewhere beyond the storage room, or maybe above it. I'd freeze, listening, my heart thrumming against my ribs. But then it would stop. Dead silence. And when I'd force myself to check the monitors, there was nothing. It's just empty space. It's just my gaunt reflection, looking back at me from the hazy screen, eyes too wide, looking a little too jumpy. A metallic clink from the service bay. I walked out, slowly, peering around the pumps. Nothing but a wrench. One I'd seen lying neatly on the workbench an hour ago was now on the floor, just a few inches away from where it should be. Again, I told myself fatigue, the building settling, the wind. Anything but the truth, but the feeling. It grew. That sickening prickle on the back of your neck, the one that screams at you that you're not alone, that someone is here, in the building, with you. The silence wasn't quiet anymore. It was listening. It was waiting. And I knew deep down, with a cold certainty that seeped into my bones, that I wasn't going to be alone for much longer. I couldn't deny it anymore, not when the sound started echoing in stereo. One set of faint scrapes from the back, another, higher pitched, from directly above me. They weren't just moving around the building, they were moving through it. I stared at the ceiling tiles above the cashier booth, my eyes tracing every crack, every stain. Then I saw it. A faint discoloration, a subtle sag in one of the tiles. And next to it, almost invisible in the dim light, the small vent cover. The one that was supposed to be screwed in tight. It was slightly ajar, just like the storage room door. Was it? That's how they got in. Through the old, unused ventilation system. The air ducts that crisscrossed the entire station like forgotten arteries. A network of dark tunnels, silent, unseen, leading everywhere. My stomach knotted. This wasn't some random, opportunistic thief. This was meticulous, planned. They knew the layout. They knew the old building's weaknesses. And they knew I was here. Had been here for a while, making their slow, agonizing progress, like a spider spinning a web around its trapped prey. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers clumsy. No signal, of course. This station was in a dead zone, the old man Benny had warned me. The landline dead. The wire must have been cut outside. Cold dread washed over me. I was cut off, trapped. The muffled thudding above me grew louder, more distinct. It sounded like something heavy, something alive, crawling on its belly. I pressed my back against the thin, grimy wall of the cashier booth, my eyes darting between the security monitors. The blurred images swam before me. Was that a shadow? A flicker of movement in aisle 3, my breath hitched. They weren't just in the walls. They were in the store now, moving, closer. A chilling thought struck me, sending an icy spear through my chest. Benny's old settling building, his history in these walls, was that just a cover story? Had this old gas station, forgotten by time, been used before? A perfect hunting ground? A place where someone could slip in, unseen, unheard, and take what they wanted. But what did they want? The cash register was practically empty. The few items on the shelves were worthless. No, this wasn't about money. This was about me, or something they knew I had, or something they thought I had. The silence pressed in, no longer just listening, but anticipating. I could almost hear their breath, faint and ragged, just beyond the glass. The pounding on the glass was animalistic, desperate, sickening wet thud against the back of my booth, shaking the entire structure. He was there. Finally, the man. A hulking shadow, monstrous in the dim light, throwing himself against the thick, reinforced glass of my booth. Snarling, a guttural, inhuman sound. His face, illuminated by the flickering exterior lights, was a mask of distorted rage, twisted and terrifying. His eyes, they were empty, lifeless, black pits, not the eyes of a common thief. I fumbled blindly under the counter, my fingers scrambling for the hidden panic button Benny had shown me. A tiny, red, insignificant little disc. Please, please work. The silent alarm siren wailed, a high-pitched, almost imperceptible shriek to me. But I prayed, begged. It was loud enough, sharp enough, to cut through the night and send a signal. He paused, his head cocked, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Then, with a final desperate roar, he slammed his shoulder against the door again. Sickening crack. The thick glass spider webbed from the impact he was in. Could be in. I pressed the button, again and again, my thumb raw, my heart hammering against my ribs, so loud I thought he must hear it. I don't know how long I stayed there, crouched behind the counter, pressed into the corner, listening to the guttural sounds outside, the frantic bone-jarring attempts to get in, the sickening scrapes and thuds, till finally, blessed, utter silence. The first rays of a gray, sickly dawn were just beginning to paint the sky when the flashing blue and red lights arrived, painting the dusty forecourt in an eerie strobe. Relief washed over me so intensely I almost collapsed, my muscles locking up, my legs barely holding me. I survived the night. I was alive. Shaking, barely able to stand, I stumbled out of the station into the morning light. At the city police station, hours later, the terror still a cold knot in my stomach, I filed my report. The only proof I had of the night's waking nightmare was the blurry, jerky security footage I'd managed to pull from the damaged DVR, a few precious, horrifying seconds of the man, his face illuminated by the flickering exterior lights, trying to tear his way into my booth. The officer, a gruff woman named Miller, her face etched with exhaustion, reviewed the footage. Her expression, already grim, hardened further with each passing second. She looked up at me, her eyes hardened, devoid of pity. "You got lucky last night," she said, her voice a low, chilling rasp. "Real lucky. The man in this video, he's been wanted for months. A serial killer. We call him the Quiet Collector because he always breaks into places, takes something, and leaves nothing but bodies behind." My blood ran cold, a wave of icy nausea washing over me. The thought of what he truly wanted, what he had been quietly collecting in the dark. Unseen corners of that gas station all night, just out of my sight, made my stomach churn, bile rising in my throat. I got away. I was alive. But the image of his eyes and the chilling realization of what could have happened, what he was truly after, will stay with me forever. I kept doing that job for money for a week or so, but ultimately I left the job because the horrors of that place weren't limited to the gas station. They followed me home.